Hi everyone, I'm Karen Sydney. It's great to be bringing another episode of A Woman Who Creates series to you. The purpose behind these interviews is to inspire a woman from listening to the journeys of other women and hearing what they have achieved while dealing with the challenges life has thrown in their paths. Today we have Deidre Schill with us, so welcome Deidre. It is great to have you here. And Deidre is from Australia and lives with her family in Mackay, Queensland. She is a business owner, life and business coach, and a rapid transformational therapist, and a very busy mum. As along with your partner, Peter, you have 6 children, mostly grown up now, but I'm sure they still require lots of attention, as I know they never leave you, do they? Now, you say your love is working with passionate businesswomen and to help them heal on their journey so they can get personal empowerment. You have faced several major life challenges yourself and found to deal with the pain at times, your coping mechanism was alcohol. I think that getting ourselves through life's traumas can be one of our biggest learning curves, and the experience and lessons learned are very valuable in our coaching roles. So Deidre, tell us, how did all this lead to you starting your own business, My Beautiful Self, and how did you choose that lovely name for your business?
Well, thank you, Karen. Thank you for your lovely introduction. My Beautiful Self. How did I come up with that name? On my journey through my life, with my life events that I had that were really exposed me to my absolute vulnerabilities of not being able to deal with the emotional roller coaster in life very well, except for turning to alcohol. I realised that that on the inside, it was often a dark, ugly place, and I wasn't feeling much inner beauty or inner love for myself. and I just really, as I went through my journey and I started to love myself more and I started seeing my inner beauty, I realised we all have an inner beauty, because the beauty on the outside is, as they say, only skin deep. You can look really, you can put the makeup on and do the hair and everything like that, but to love yourself from within and see your own inner beauty was something that I was so grateful to find for myself, and I could start seeing my own beautiful self, and like that emerging butterfly, like you start emerging and you start learning to love yourself, and you start to see your inner beauty and all the wonderful gifts you have to share with people when you start seeing that inner beauty for yourself. And that's where my business came from. It was about me finding my beautiful self and wanting to connect with women who kind of got that, like about getting the fact that when you have your inner beauty, then you have your beautiful self to share with everyone else. But until you have that inner beauty, that inner self, that self-loving, it's very hard to offer that to other people, because you've got to love yourself first, and you've got to have that inner beauty within you first. We get confused in our journey in life about, especially women, because that's who I identify with mostly, because I'm a woman. But we're often told we have to love everyone else first and us last, and it's a flawed plan. So, you touched on the fact that I've had a few challenging times. So my journey on how I got to finding my beautiful self, and honestly, it is such an ongoing journey. I feel like as though it's a journey I'm going to be on for the rest of my life, because the layers of the onions seem to be forever. I was married to a man for 20 years. During that time, we separated for 3 years, and then we separated one final time 8-9 years ago. And during that journey, I was in a complete emotional mess. I didn't know what I was doing. I was so distraught with the emotional turmoils of my life that I couldn't even find my car when I parked it in a car park. I walked around and ended up having to ring someone to come and get me to find my car, just from the emotional distress I was going through. And I'd be fine 1 minute, And if I received a text message or a phone call or a solicitor's email or something like that, I would go from being what I thought was calm and stable to complete irrational fear of whatever was going on in my emotional health at the time. And so that was where I really, really realised that it can't be like this. Life can't be like this. There has to be skills and there has to be a way to deal with this rather than my emotions controlling me. There must be a way for me to stay in control of my emotions, because I could look around and see other people kind of kept it together, but why couldn't I? And unfortunately, the only skill I had learned was to go and open another bottle of wine and to drink, because then it numbed it. And it felt like as though I was in control when I was never in control. So, that was my big aha moment when I really felt out of control in my life, and the only way I thought I was controlling it was by drinking. And of course that just leads to so many more problems.
Just covering up what the real problem is, isn't it? But it's that you don't know that at the time, and it is the way you could cope, and as you say, numb the pain. That's
right. And you go to, I learnt, I'd self-taught to drink alcohol from when I was a very young age, and I know from the work I do that I'm not alone in that story, that I'm one of very, very many. And it's one of those dirty little secrets, that you don't want people to know that, I managed raising 3 children and in a dysfunctional marriage and everything like that by drinking alcohol to get me through. It's a sad reality of a lot of women's lives. Other people turn to other hard drugs, and I'm just grateful that mine was alcohol, and it's something that I've learnt to manage. It's not my first go-to anymore. I'm very, very glad to say I have some wonderful skills in my toolbox now. So that's what I did. I went, I started my journey, my absolute journey. I went to counselling. I went to find a counsellor, and I thought I can't do AA. It didn't suit me. I tried it in the past. So I went, I'm going to go and do some counselling, and did trans-emotional counselling. We didn't talk about alcohol once, not once. And I was like, wow, okay. It was all about my childhood. It was all about my relationships with my family. It was all about everything to do with my past and nothing to do with my now. And I found that really interesting, and I didn't understand. So that kept propelling me into wanting to know more and wanting to know more. And I found tapping, and at the same time I found tapping, I was pregnant with my daughter, who unexpectedly decided to join us 3.5 years ago. So that was an absolute sweet little treat. So I found tapping, and I also was told my brother was diagnosed with terminal lung cancer, and I ended up being his carer. So that brought in a whole new gamut of troubles. And so finding out I was pregnant at 43, finding out my brother was dying at the same time, I was so grateful. And I didn't even know how I was going to fit it in, that I found tapping. I'm like, how can I fit in tapping? And I've got so much going on. And my coach Sally said to me, Deidre, if you can do the tapping, you'll be able to cope with everything else. And I just had to have blind faith. I just had blind faith that she was telling me the truth. And I'm really grateful to say that being on that journey with Sally as my coach, helping me through that period of time while I was there supporting my brother during his and all of our family. It impacts the whole family when someone's dying. Or the emotional trauma, and coming from a family that my way of learning how to deal with dysfunction was alcohol, there wasn't great communication skills happening. So there was a lot. I was able to stand into the space of supporting my brother, his children, and the family just through the work I was doing, and being able to clear and let go of stuff, because this is energetic work and we're working bigger than just us.
It's amazing, isn't it, that you've got that fallback, and you know that it seriously works, and it's great. I think when you're coaching and doing something, that you've got that absolute belief because you've been there and know what it done for you.
That's right. Yeah, and it was hard work. I am a coach myself now, and when I was doing the work, when I was on the other side and doing the big work to get myself into a much more into a more stable state, it was hard. There was days that I did not want to turn up, but I did. I pushed through and kept doing the work, and the outcomes, it's the greatest gift I've ever given myself. So that's kept me going on my journey, and I found Rapid Transformational Therapy, which is a form of hypnotherapy through Marissa Peer's teachings and stuff. So they're all, I believe that all of these different modalities we can use, tapping, EFT, NLP, all of those things, they're all after the same outcome, which is freedom from that overwhelming emotional trauma that can have us on that roller coaster ride, and just regaining our inner selves to be the best available in our space that we're in right now. So it's whatever connects with you. And I absolutely adored tapping, and I wanted to add to my toolkit something that was going to have the same outcomes, but in a different way, because not all people want to tap on their heads. Yeah. When they feel very, very uncomfortable, and not everyone wants to be hypnotized. So Rapid Transformational Therapy is a form of hypnotherapy where we regress the client to get to the root of the issue, to clear it so we can reprogram new beliefs. So it's a really great tool, and I use in my coaching package, I use the Rapid Transformational Therapy and the EFT in separate sessions, but in the one package, to elicit amazing rapid change over that 6-month to 12-month period, depending on where the client wants to go with the coaching. So that they can, instead of feeling like as though they're abandoned and trying to go through a massive emotional change or getting off that roller coaster wheel, they can have somewhere where they go every fortnight and they know they're getting supported and they're actually eliciting serious change in their lives to get them to where they want to go in their lives.
And I know another question people are probably wondering and would like answered is, does it hurt? What do they feel when
the Rapid Transformational Therapy, it's actually so relaxing, but you do go into a wonderful state of hypnosis. So it's like meditation. So we all go into a state of hypnosis every single day. Every morning as we're waking up, we're in a state of hypnosis. Every evening when we're falling asleep, we're in a state of hypnosis. In actual fact, if you're sitting there reading a book or you're watching television and someone comes in and startles you, it's because you've actually been in a state of hypnosis. It's just that you're very aware of being aware within yourself. And so you don't have any physical pain. You're very relaxed. You get to lie back and go into hypnosis. And but what can be painful or what can be challenging is that we're going to go and have a little sneak peek, which is the same as tapping, at past events that are holding you back from, in an emotional trauma, so we can look at it, recognize it, and let it go. So yeah, we always have a box of tissues, but we do that in all inner work. As soon as you start doing anything that's to do with healing the inner child and your inner self, we kind of need to have a few boxes of tissues around. So there's that.
Those emotions, that come up that they're just not going to be aware are going to come up.
That's right. And the amount of aha moments and the surprises of, I'm wanting to work on self-confidence, and they go back and they realise the self-confidence was buried in a couple of beliefs from when they were 3, 5 and 7 that they hadn't thought of until they're in the state of hypnosis or in the tapping. And it's like, oh my gosh, I never realised I've believed that my whole life. And it's just so wonderful to see that realization, because understanding is the power. So when you understand how you formed the belief in the first place, then you have the power of going, oh, I don't need to carry that anymore. I can let that go. And that's when the healing begins. And that's like the sweetest gift.
And that'd be so rewarding for you to see what you've helped people get to where they're going to be able to go now with their lives.
the greatest reward, honestly, is when, like, I had a client recently, and she was the biggest skeptic, didn't believe in any of this work, had wanted to have nothing to do with it, but has known me for my whole life, and has seen the changes I've been through and where I've come from and where I am now. And so she's decided to start working with me, and she rang me up 1 week after her first session, and it was an EFT session. And she said, "Is it normal to feel this way?" And I said, "Well, how are you feeling?" She said, "I'm not crying all the time." And I said, "Yes, it's normal." I said, "This is good." I said, "You've had a nice, you had a big shift and a realization." And she's going, "I just can't believe how liberated I feel, because I'm not, every time I turn around, I'm not so overwhelmed that I feel like as though I need to cry." And she's a very successful woman with who manages a couple of businesses and working in high management. And yet, no one would have known to look at her that she was on the verge of tears every other moment of the day. But there she was, and she comes and has one session, and she's ringing me, and she's so elated to find something that she can actually work with every single day herself on the tapping, and listen to meditations when we do an RTT, because we do a personalised meditation recording for you to listen to for 21 days post the session, and to know that while she's sleeping, she can be working on her inner belief system as she's falling asleep, and 15 minutes a day tapping just to clear anything that's coming up, and just to keep working on that on her own personal journey. And she said, "If I had not, why didn't I listen to this 5 years ago, 6 years ago? Where would I be today?" But she's just so grateful that she's found it now, and that makes me so, like money can't buy the joy and the, to know that I'm on the right path doing what I'm doing.
Yes, well, I think that's like one of the most important things, is that we are actually living a life that we love, and we're being a real, true self. Because I just find the saddest thing I hear is older people saying that they've just got such a life of regrets, and they didn't do any of the things they wanted to do for themselves. And in particular, as you touched on before, with women, we do so many different things for other people, and we can get caught up in that and busy and looking after everybody else, and that we forget about ourselves, and then you leave it too late. And so that's my purpose behind these, because I want women to stop and have a look at themselves and make sure, it doesn't matter what you're doing, but long as it's what you want to do and you absolutely love your life, because I think that's important. We only get this one life to live, so make the most of it and do what it is. And as you say, what you're doing is just so rewarding. I say that with clients I coach. It's something about people's eyes that I can just always see the change in their eyes. Their light comes on in their eyes when they really get it. And, it is so neat to see, isn't it? And from this day forward, life's going to be changed. And,
that's right.
And we all have stuff. And as you said at the beginning, you thought you were the only one that wasn't coping with life, and that everybody else had it together. But everybody has something. We're just good at putting on a front, because you don't go out and tell people. And so that's what's really important, that they can come and have these treatments that you're doing, and that they don't have to put that front on. They are actually really genuinely happy. It's not a pretend I'm happy.
That's right. Like we sit down and we do strategize. Where do you want to be in 3 months? And then we go, well, what's coming up that's going to prevent you? So there's a structure to the coaching. So that's where the coaching comes in. We deal with what's happening right now that's brought you to this space. And then when we clear that enough to go, okay, well, where do you want to go? And then look at all those fears, what fears are coming up, and let's address those, because those fears is what controls us, and we don't even realise that we're being controlled by them. Mm-hmm. I think the other great big thing for me that was really, really important, and which is something that I've actually we all have our, we have our journeys in life when we hit our brick walls. And I did a post yesterday on my business page talking about the dark night of the soul. I've just had a couple of weeks of my own, another little hiccup, where we're moving to the next levels, if you want to say it that way, but where we're having to dig deeper into ourselves and clear some stuff. And it's just that reminding myself more to the point, and why I'm on this journey is I am so sick to death of allowing my emotions, when I'm in that space where it's really tough going, and I sit there and go, hang on a minute, who's controlling me? Who is in control here? Oh, that's right, I'm allowing my emotions to control me. And that frustration when I go, oh, well, that's right, I'm doing the work, but at the end of the day, I've also got to remember to step and go, hey, hang on a minute, I'm in the driver's seat here, not all your emotional baggage that wants to bring me down and have me, on that huge journey again. The couple of weeks that I've just recently been through would have once upon a time, left me not being able to find the car in the car park and all this other stuff. So even though I still have my journeys, as does everyone. I'm just so grateful that I've got these tools that I can sit there and go, hang on a minute, I can get this back into control. I need to continue on with my day. I need to know where I'm going, what I'm doing. Emotions, take a side seat. Let me get on with what I need to do, and we'll deal with you later. And do my tapping or listen to my meditation or my hypnosis and go, okay, you're not in control of my life, I am.
And there's just real life, isn't it? Because every moment isn't happy, joy. There's always stuff happens, and it's just a total real life. But how long you let that happen, you don't want it, ruling your life, and day after day after day in this dark place. So yes, now you got those tools, and you pull yourself back into line and deal with your emotions. But
don't push them aside that they're not to be dealt with, but respect them.
Yeah, because it's normal, isn't it? That's just real life. As I said, we don't live every minute that it's just perfect. I mean, we always are going to have challenges, but it's how we deal with them, and that's up to ourselves, isn't it? And we're in who's in charge of our life.
That's it.
And it's,
because I think from myself anyway, I wasn't taught. Do you ever feel guilty sometimes, like say giving your parents a bad time, or saying when you say stuff like this? But it's not about that. This is about me saying I'm an adult now, and I can see that when I was young, I was never taught how to control my emotions. I wasn't given any skill sets. I wasn't shown a better way. And I've learnt that. I've gone out and I've seeked that, and I've learnt that, and I want to pass that on, because I believe that I'm not alone in the journey of I'm controlled by my emotions. There's so many people out there who are controlled day by day by day by what's happening external to them, and they are a victim, and they don't realise they're a victim because they've never been shown that they're living this victim mindset. And it's really hard to stand into that space and go, oh, well, in actual fact, I do have control. But when you actually get that, when you actually get into your head that you actually ultimately have the power, that's when you are free. That's when you go, the hallelujahs, like hallelujah. It's confrontational, however, because that means that you have the power. You can't blame someone else.
Yes, stepping up and taking that responsibility for your own life. And that's what I say, now you're an adult, it's time to stop blaming your parents, because I would say, they had different tools back then. It was a different time. And I'm sure every parent does the best they can do with what they're equipped to handle. So they love you and they're doing the best job at it. But yes, it was in a different time and things were done differently than what they are now. And so once you're an adult, it's time to take control of your own life and say, well, hey, what kind of life do I want for myself? And whatever gets that for you, that you make sure that you go out and do that. I think there's J.K. Rowling, she says a quote like that once you're old enough to take control of the steering wheel, it's time to let go from blaming your parents and take the control of your own steering your own life. And it's true, isn't it? Because only you can get the life you want for yourself once you're an adult. And it's about that stepping up, taking the responsibility, stop being the victim, and you're responsible for where you go to from here.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Agree.
So do you have any other goals or anything in line for your business, or you're happy at the tools, where the stage you've got it to now, or is there anything coming up, soon in the future that changes you're going to make?
With regards to more tools in my toolbox for my business, I really am really focused on really fine-tuning and becoming the best therapist in the EFT and the RTT that's available to me, and really connecting. One area that, if you call it a tool, I suppose it is a tool, is really connecting with the intuition, because as an amazing therapist, I think you have to have an amazing intuition, because it's connecting with that client. And intuition doesn't have to be face to face. It's, like what we're doing right now. You get that feel, you have that connection with the client. And the other tool in my toolbox that I'm really, really which I practice every single day, and I think it's something we all need to practice, is that active listening, where you really stop and you allow the client to speak and you hear what they're saying, which is part of that intuition, and repeating back to them so they know you've heard what they've had to say. So not so much a big tool like the EFT or the RTT, but bringing in those fundamental tools like the listening and the connection to enhance those tools, so that I can be more available to my clients when we're in that space together, to help them shift what they need to shift.
I think that's a really good one, repeating back to them and saying it in the way that you've understood it, to make sure that you have understood what they're actually saying, and then you get it clear, and they're clear that you know what they're saying as well. And I think that's something that works really well, doing that.
I think too, especially when we're working with women, because women often not heard in all areas of their lives. But apart from that, I am extremely excited about working with my clients that I currently have and expanding my business. And I really look forward to getting more involved in public speaking and furthering my I'm working up at Youngala. There's a Youngala retreat happening up in June, and I'm going to be doing a healing vortex up there with the ladies at the retreat there. So that's very exciting. So just getting more involved in the community. A really big area that I'm looking at the moment is getting involved in community services and helping people who are more people who are from domestic violence and really stuck in places where they can't particularly afford to see a therapist, but they aren't qualifying for government services. That's a really big passion.
There's a lot that just misses it on either side, isn't it? And they're left there on their own struggling. Oh, that's a great area to be offering your services. And what about yourself out of work time? Is there anything else to have this, your work-life balance? What else do you do for yourself?
I've got a really big, hairy, audacious goal that I've set, which I keep stumbling on, but that's what setting a really massive goal is about, isn't it? It's just.
Yes. I would say if it's not fearful and scary, it's not big enough.
So when I was in my early 30s, late 20s, early 30s, I was training, like figure competition training, and really working towards obtaining this, getting on stage, and all the glamour that goes with that and the excitement. And I injured myself quite significantly and was unable to finish that journey. So in 2021, I'm going to be 50 years old, and I want to compete in that year of 2021.
Right.
So that whole getting back into fitness and eating, I'm struggling a little bit with the eating. The fitness I'm being much more consistent with, but just going through, this work is just so amazing. So I do a little program called Above Below the Line. It's with part of my coaching where, this is where you are above the line. This is the fears and everything that's below the line. And then looking at that myself going, am I below the line or am I above the line? and then breaking down all that stuff that keeps me below the line. So it's a really interesting program that I run with that. But it's, you know, great when you're doing it with yourself as well and going, oh, okay, Deidre, get back up, get back above the line. You feel so much
quite often what I say to myself, I'm like, yeah, well, what would I be telling someone else?
Yes.
That's a huge goal. Good on you. That's a challenge.
So, but other than that, my partner and I, Peter and I and Carly, we've got back into the camping scene. We used to go out fishing and be on the beach all the time, and Peter owns his own company, and so that has been a bit hectic for the last few years. So we've just gone back into camping and getting out and doing that, and yeah, it's been really fun. I love going camping and just
and you've got beautiful weather over there for camping, so
yeah,
it's good to get out, and it's great to do things together as a family, isn't it? Because when you talk to children, it's all those memories. All those things you've done together is what they remember when they get older, and it's special times, isn't it? To do these family things.
Yeah, that's right. Because you go with all the other family, and it's all fun and
nice. So to finish, do you have any favourite quote or word of advice? Anything else that you want to pass on?
Yeah. So I don't know if you've listened to or you've read the books Dying to Be Me and Is This Heaven by Anita Moorjani, but I love a lot of her quotes. They're just quite profound. Especially when I was living with my brother Stephen during his terminal cancer journey, I kind of really absorbed those books quite a lot. But love yourself like your life depends on it, because it does. You know, that really resonates with me. You know, you really, the love's got to start in here, so you can send it out there.
Very good. Yeah, now, I love quotes. I hear them everywhere, every day. I'll be reading one, and sometimes you just open something, and it's amazing how the exact one you need that day just turns up, and it gives you that lift, and it's like, yes, come on, you can do a bit more, or keep going, or yes, it's not so bad. And they really are. They really do change your day.
Yeah, they really do. Especially, like you say, when you open one up, or you open a book or something happens and it's just there waiting for you, and you're like, thank you, universe. You know, like it's like someone knows that you needed to hear that right now.
Quite incredible, because it happens. It's not a coincidence. Just because it happens so often. You know, you just that exact moment you get what you need. So. No, it's awesome. Oh, well, thank you just so much, Deidre, for coming along and sharing your story with us today. It's been such a privilege to have you here, and I know that your story will inspire many other women to make a decision to take some action, because we know if you change nothing, then nothing changes. So everyone, what is one action step that you could take today? It may be just something simple as making a phone call that you've been putting off, but do something now. Take action. So have a great day, everyone, and thank you for listening. And please, if you could share this interview with your friends. As I said, my mission is to help as many women as I can to create the life that they want for themselves. So bye for now from Deidre and myself, and we'll catch you again. Bye.